The difference between the people who build wealth and the people who stay stuck is almost never the size of the paycheck. It comes down to a handful of small actions repeated so many times that they stop feeling like decisions at all. That is the strange thing about money. The habits that change everything rarely look impressive on the day you start them. They look almost too small to matter, and that is exactly why most people skip them. Here are five of those habits, the ones that seem minor in the moment but reshape your whole financial future over the years. The first one is automating the very first dollar before you ever get the chance to spend it. Most people try to save whatever is left at the end of the month, and by then there is almost nothing left. The order is backwards. When you set up an automatic transfer that moves money into savings the moment your paycheck lands, you take away the hardest part of saving, which is having to choose it every single time. Vanguard has studied how people save for years, and the same pattern shows up again and again. When saving is made automatic, people keep it up far more consistently and end up much better off than the ones who try to do it by hand, even at the same income. The reason this works is not really about money. It is about how your mind works. Every time you lean on willpower, you slowly run out of it because willpower gets used up by everything else in your day. By the time your paycheck arrives, you have already made 100 other choices. Automation moves the decision to a place where willpower is no longer part of it. So the saving happens whether you feel motivated that week or not. Think about how much of your day already runs on autopilot. You brush your teeth without a debate, you lock the door without a second thought, and you buckle your seatbelt before the car even moves. None of those choices drain you because you turned them into habits a long time ago. Money can work the exact same way once you stop treating every dollar as a fresh decision. The second habit is keeping your savings in a separate place from the account you spend out of. This sounds almost too simple to bother with, but the little bit of friction it creates is doing real work in the background. When your savings sit in the same account as your spending money, that money is always one tap away. You dip into it for something small, tell yourself you will put it back, and often you never do. But when your savings live in a separate account, ideally at a different bank, something shifts. Now, moving that money back to yourself takes a day or two. That short delay is enough to make you stop and ask whether you really need it. Out of sight really does become out of mind, and in this case, that helps you. The people who build up an emergency fund are rarely the ones with the most self-control. They are the ones who made it a little bit annoying to get in their own way. This matters more than it used to. As of 2024, the Federal Reserve found that 37% of Americans could not cover a surprise $400 expense using cash or savings alone, and 13% could not cover it at all. On top of that, the amount Americans save out of their income dropped to just 2.6% in April 2026. So if saving feels hard right now, it is not some personal flaw. It is the situation almost everyone is living in. Keeping your money in a separate place is one of the few things that pushes back against all of that without asking you to earn a single dollar more. The third habit is checking your money on purpose, on a set schedule, even when nothing is wrong. Most people only look at their accounts when they feel anxious, when a payment bounces, or when the balance is scary low. That turns money into something you are afraid of, and fear makes people avoid the very thing they need to face. The habit that fixes this is almost embarrassingly small. You spend 60 seconds looking at your balance each morning, or 10 minutes every Sunday going over what came in and what went out. What happens over time is that money stops being a mystery. You start catching the subscription you forgot to cancel, the spending that crept up, the small leaks that were draining you without your say-so. Just paying attention starts to change how you act, because it is very hard to keep overspending on something you have to look at every single week. When you watch a number closely, you naturally start to move it in the right direction. The fourth habit is giving every raise, refund, and windfall a job before it shows up. Here is what happens to most people. Their income goes up and their spending climbs right along with it, often without them even noticing. A bigger paycheck turns into a bigger lifestyle, and 5 years later, they are earning way more but saving the same amount, which is often close to nothing. This is called lifestyle creep, and it is the reason so many people who earn good money still feel broke. The habit that stops it is deciding ahead of time where extra money goes before it ever hits your account. When a raise comes, you send at least half of it straight into savings or investing, and you let yourself enjoy the rest with no guilt. When a tax refund or a birthday check or a side gig payment shows up, you push half of it forward to your future self. You were not counting on that money for your normal life, so you will barely feel it leave. The fifth habit is the one that makes all the others actually stick. It is starting so small that you almost cannot fail. People fall short with money not because their goals are wrong, but because their goals are too big to survive real life. They try to save 20% overnight, feel the pain, and quit within a month. Research on how habits form found that it takes about 66 days, on average, for a new behavior to start feeling automatic, and for some people, it takes a lot longer than that. That means the first 2 months are the fragile stretch, the part where most people give up right before it would have gotten easier, so you make the start impossible to fail. You automate $5 a week if that is what you can handle, or you save $1 the first week, $2 the next, and just keep following that simple pattern. And by the end of a single year, you have put aside $1,378 almost without noticing. The amount is not the point in the beginning. The real win is becoming the kind of person who saves. Once that is who you are, the number takes care of itself. Here is something worth sitting with. The wealthiest people you know are rarely doing anything flashy with their money on a given Tuesday. They are running the same handful of simple systems over and over while everyone else keeps waiting for a perfect moment that never quite arrives. Their real advantage is patience wearing the costume of discipline. And the good news is that this same advantage is available to absolutely anyone who is willing to start today and then keep showing up. Now step back and look at what these 5 habits have in common. Not one of them needs a bigger income. Not one of them needs a fancy strategy or a perfect market. They all work by changing the world around your decisions instead of demanding more willpower from you. Automating your savings takes the choice off your plate. Keeping a separate account adds a helpful speed bump. Checking in regularly turns fear into plain awareness. Assigning your raises stops lifestyle creep before it can start. And starting small carries you through the shaky weeks while the habit is still forming. That is the real secret hiding inside all of this. Wealth is not built in big dramatic moments. It is built in the small, repeated actions that are so easy to brush off that almost everyone brushes them off. The person who automates one transfer, opens one separate account, and starts with one small amount will, years from now, be standing somewhere completely different from the person who kept waiting for the big moment that never came. You do not need to fix everything today. You just need to pick one of these 5 habits, the one that felt most true as you listened, and set it up before the feeling fades. Small is not weak. Small is what lasts. And the version of you a few years from now is built out of what you choose to repeat, starting right now. If this shifted the way you think about money even a little, do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you there.